He was a drug lord, then blogged The Truth, Martin Kok's deadly confrontation with the Scottish Mafia. It's a typical December night in Laren, Netherlands. A sex club buzzes with its usual vibrancy inside, oblivious to an impending tragedy about to unfold in its parking lot. It's 11:31 p.m. and the day is December 8th, 2016. A man has just settled behind the wheel of a VW Polo when a figure emerges from the bushes and shoots him at a close range. The man falls lifeless onto the driver's seat, still clutching the car in his hand. He has been shot not once or twice, but 8 times. There's a gun wound on his head. Looks like someone doesn't want to leave anything to chance. This unfortunate man is Martin Kok, a murderer turned crime blogger. Welcome to Narcotic Underworld. Let's dive into a world where there's no room for resignations nor tolerance for exposure. There's a high price for ruffling feathers in the gangland, especially when it's the notorious Moroccan Mafia, which is usually paid in life. Martin Kok learned this lesson the hard way. Having committed 2 murders himself, Kok was no stranger to violence. He was further allured to the underworld after his acquaintance with Willem Hollander during his incarceration. However, he turned away from the crime himself, but that world kept calling to him. He started blogging on the same world he was a part of briefly. Kok developed a rapport with the journalists and garnered a healthy audience on his blog. But how did he become a crime blogger and ultimately a murder victim from an eelmonger? Stay tuned to find out. Transition from the stutter to cuddly bear with the handgun. Martin Kok grew up in his hometown of Volendam, renowned for its smoked eel, lively harbor, and traditional costume, all of which remained a crucial part of Kok's life. Dressed in traditional costume, selling eels on a quayside to a condescending clientele, Kok didn't find his living very enjoyable. However, he kept at it, but moved his vending to bars frequented by criminals. While he stuck to the selling enterprise, his wares changed from eels to churning out a lot of profit. This lucrative trade was the start of the transition from the stutterer, his childhood name, to a cuddly bear with a handgun. The dealing Kok was charismatic and sardonic, a class clown, but at the same time, he was imposing with his beefy and tall demeanor. He was as charming as he was ruthless, hence the name Cuddly Bear with a Handgun. With a streak for violence, Kok was bound to run afoul to the authorities, and he did multiple times. He committed his first shooting at the age of 21. It was punishment for an old schoolmate who had started cutting into his business. A few months later, he had to scuffle with a rival. Kok hit him in the head with a bar stool, causing his death. Kok got a 5-year sentence, which is common in the Netherlands as it's known for its lenient sentencing terms. His incarceration marked another significant time in Kok's life. He met the infamous Willem Hollander, Holland's most notorious criminal. Hollander was in prison for the 1983 kidnapping of the Brown Baron, Freddie Heineken. It's one of the most renowned incidents in the chronicles of Dutch crime. A whopping ransom of $20 million was paid. Kok and Hollander hit off in a short time. He also became friends with Cor van Hout, an accomplice in the Heineken kidnapping. Van Hout himself was a well-renowned figure in the underworld who was shot dead in 2003. That was the 3rd attempt on his life, which proved to be the fatal one. Kok liked Van Hout better because of his jovial, fun-loving personality. After getting out of jail, Kok landed himself in trouble with the gangland when he blackmailed Jan Hout, former accountant of Underlord Klaus Brunsma. Hout owed his father-in-law a small amount of money. He paid for this stunt by having his car blown up into pieces by a firework bomb. Kok was incarcerated again after a scuffle with the new boyfriend of his ex-girlfriend, who was a local taxi driver. The two men had an argument where the boyfriend threatened Kok with a screwdriver. Kok shot him dead, then and there. Not only this, but he also uploaded the audio of the incidents with the dead man's picture. The video went viral. This was the time in jail where he diversified his business with prostitution. Vlinder's Escort was the name of his enterprise. Capitalizing on allowed conjugal visits in Dutch prisons, Kok would arrange women for prisoners who posed as their girlfriends. According to him, he was providing a much-needed service to his friends. When the jail authorities learned this, Kok was given solitary confinement for 2 weeks. However, it was nothing compared to the attention he received. According to his biography, the whole cell block was applauding him when he exited the solitary chamber. Other than jolliness, the other trait that defined Kok was that he cherished attention. After getting released at the age of 47, Kok decided to abandon his drug-dealing enterprise. He started a crime blog of his own in February 2015 to give his readers an insight into the gritty dealings of drug cartels and hired assassins. He named his blog Vlinder's Crime after the Dutch word for butterflies. He published stories on Moroccan drug lords, Irish mob kingpins, biker gangs, assassination plots, and his own partying activities. Soon his website became the most visited crime website in the Netherlands. In early December 2016, he had over 4 million page views for the previous month. All thanks to his unorthodox reporting, specifically publishing full names of the Underworld thugs and their pictures along with their activities. Because of the high traffic to his blog, the banner ads for spy shops, flooring suppliers, spy shops, and sex shops were selling for thousands of euros. One advertisement was being sold for up to 8,000 euros per year. Well-reputed regional publications also started quoting him. However, reckless reporting of the gangland and relentless mockings of the thugs brought him at odds with his subjects. In 2015, there was a shooting attempt at his home, rendering his car riddled with bullet holes. This incident garnered a reaction from him. As the footage shows, the always stuttering Martin is not impressed by the failed attack. I've faced tougher challenges and this won't scare me. Continuing with his unorthodox crime blogging, he was the first one to publish the names of Ridwan Tahi, leader of the notorious Makro Mafia, and his partners. He also wrote the names of Richard Ricowar and Naufal Nofelev. This brought Kok on Tahi's radar. In July 2016, another bomb was discovered under his car. Tahi is known to be involved in this assassination attempt. This incident also brought one good thing, something that Kok found irresistible, i.e., attention. When a bomb squad arrived along with the TV cameras, Kok was beyond himself with excitement. Stuttering through the interview with the journalist, he called the explosive device a bomberoni. Kok was pretty aware of the resentment of the drug lords and the danger he was in. I'm on so many lists, all I have to do is bow my head and they'll kill each other in the crossfire. Nevertheless, the attempts at his life couldn't deter him from blogging. Vlinder's Crime is not gonna quit, he said. The journalists liked him, and he liked their validation. However, it was dangerous to be close to him, lest a shooting gone awry may find them. Journalists didn't let him pay for their dinner so that it didn't lead to onerous moral debts. For his blog, he talked to guys he formed acquaintances with in prison. He accepted whatever they said as fact and shared it on his blog. Soon after publishing the scoop, he would alert the journalists about it through text messages. He also published details about the corrupt customs officer Garrett G. The officer played a crucial role in an extensive drug network by allowing the entry of containers unchecked. He also guided his clients about using the deck cargo without raising suspicion among his colleagues. That's how loads of cocaine shipments passed the customs at the Rotterdam port unimpeded. Kok shared the last update about Garrett G on December 8th. Notably, the police arrested G in April 2015 after intercepting a shipment of 400 kilos of cocaine. He was released to care for his ill wife, but was arrested again after being found in contact with the Underworld. He was sentenced to 14 years in prison in 2017. During his trial, it emerged that Garrett G received a 7.5% commission on the illegal narcotics he let pass through the customs. His earnings from this service amounted to at least 3.5 million euros. Reporting on such activities and providing insider information after speaking to his underworld contacts were not to be ignored by the gangland. The downfall of Martin Kok started from a marketing collaboration with an encrypted phone company. Encrypted phones and assassination attempt. By 2016, NPC, a company that produced encrypted phones and approached Kok. NPC was interested in sponsoring Volendam in exchange for advertising on the website. An agreement was reached, and the site began posting ads and NPC branded hats as well as other memorabilia. The company paid Kok around 13,000 euros so he would want to collaborate with it more. However, what Kok didn't know was that NPC was not an ordinary phone company. While it's normal for encrypted phone companies to cater to criminals, NPC itself was run by criminals. Two suspected Glasgow underlords, James and Barry Gillespie, managed NPC. Initially, they used to buy their specialized BlackBerry phones from a company named Enitcom. According to Dutch police, Enitcom was run by Danny Manupasa and linked to drug trafficking, armed robbery, and assassinations. Concerned about their security, the Gillespie brothers decided to create their own devices. That's how NPC came into being, a medium to commit crime securely. Currently, the brothers are suspected to have been killed in Brazil, but back then, they were believed to be living between the Netherlands and Portugal. They were operating from abroad with other criminals, Christopher Hughes and James White. Christopher Hughes is a notable name in the Kok murder case. He was an active employee of the NPC and dealt with Martin Kok for marketing activities on the company's behalf. He was with Kok on December 8, 2016. They met at the Citizen M Hotel in Amsterdam. Police cameras showed Hughes and Kok in the hotel's lobby and the bar. The CCTV camera caught a man in dark clothing walking back and forth in front of the hotel. As soon as Kok and Hughes left the hotel, the man came running behind Kok, pulling a gun at his head. Nothing happened and the man ran away. Probably the weapon had failed. Apparently, Kok and Hughes didn't have any idea, as evident from this clip showing them walking nonchalantly. While Kok was aware of his brush with death, Hughes can be seen with the hat apparently to ensure the shooter got the right guy. Unfortunately, luck didn't favor Kok the second time on the same day. He had gone to the Boccaccio sex club with a man named Scotty. After spending a few hours at the club, Kok can be seen coming out of the hotel with Hughes behind him. As Kok got inside the car and closed the door, a man emerged in a black balaclava from the forest. He shot at him and disappeared behind the bushes he had emerged from. As the man fired shots, Hughes started pacing towards Boccaccio's exit. The police stated that he kept looking at his hands, possibly his phone. He paused to look back and then resumed his walk, exiting the scene soon. The doorman of the club called the police and reported the incident. During the investigation, the club manager told the police that Kok had contacted him a few times earlier that year about a party his friend Scotty wanted to throw at the club. That Scotty was Christopher Hughes. Notably, Hughes reported to Meerenvaart police station that he wanted to make a statement as a witness to Kok's murder. The police arrested him for being complicit. Hughes told the police that he saw a man in a ski mask and dark jacket shooting at Kok's car. He said that he had several vodkas and used a gram of and Boccaccio. He panicked after shooting and called a friend to pick him up. He was released after a week. The detectives were convinced that Hughes had acted as a decoy, and the assassination was at the orders of Ridwan Tahi. Notably, Tahi stood trial for the murder of Kok, among many other crimes. He was given a life sentence later for his crimes after the proceedings of the famous Marengo trial. Coming back to Hughes, he fled the Netherlands and was on the run for 2 years before getting arrested in January 2020 in Turin, Italy. Hughes was sentenced to at least 25 years for the murder of Martin Kok. It was possible because of his confession to a gang member who happened to be an informant. He told the informant at his flat in Antwerp, Belgium, that the murder was due to occur outside the Citizen M Hotel, but the gun had jammed. Moreover, Hughes had paid for Kok's time at the sex club and provided him with cocaine. The informant stated that he was speaking to his boss, James Gillespie, on the night of the incident. Hughes was told that someone was waiting for Martin Kok, and he was to hold back. He had stopped to pet the cat to ensure nobody was caught in the crossfire. The informant also confirmed that Hughes mentioned putting Kok on a plate for the Rockies, a Moroccan crime group who is all over but has a strong presence in Amsterdam. Along with the murder, Hughes was found to be engaged in many other crimes and linked to notorious underlords. Coming back to Martin Kok, his name signifies both fame and misfortune, fearlessness and sensationalism. He cherished attention, and he got enough from his life and the way he left the world. His funeral was just as unorthodox as was his crime reporting. It included women in low-cut dresses with slits, champagne, and firecrackers. From his casket carried by 4 young women clad in skimpy outfits to champagne being served in the service, his funeral remained the talk of the town. The service concluded with the final toast by friends and family chanting, "You were a top guy, you were a murder guy," and lighting firecrackers. His funeral started from Volendam and ended in Vrenhof Cemetery in Amsterdam. He was buried just 2 tombstones away from his friend and Heineken kidnapper Cor van Hout. Here's a glimpse into this unique funeral. That wraps up the story of a murderer turned crime blogger, an encrypted phone company, and the Scottish Mafia. A story that he could have written well himself.